So we finally know now how many firearms were purchased in 2020 as well as 2021 in the state of California. And also in Duncan v. Becerra, an additional supplemental briefing has been requested to the en banc Ninth Circuit. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think that California's ban on so-called assault weapons as well as so-called large capacity magazines is unconstitutional and violates your Second Amendment rights, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to two of the main sponsors of the channel. The first being Acelink Armor. Here you have the Famosa plate carrier, and these are level 4 plates in here, ceramic plates. High quality company. It's out of here, the state of California. So amazing company, supports the Second Amendment. They have good value in their bundles. And if you use the code ARMSCHOLAR, you'll get 10% off of your order. And so I'll put a link to them down in the details section. Also, I want to thank USCCA for supporting the channel. USCCA, through your membership, you get training and education as well as self-defense liability protection. So I always recommend that if you carry a firearm, not just in the state of California, but anywhere, you should have some sort of protection. So if you're interested, take a look at them. I'll put a link to them down in the details section as well. So Miller v. Becerra, a lot of you are aware of this case because we talk about it quite a bit on this channel, being a California-based channel primarily. If you're not aware, you're coming to this for the first time, Miller v. Becerra deals with California's assault weapons ban, specifically penal code sections like 30515, which bans specific types of firearms that are configured in specific types of ways. This case challenges that law and seeks to find it unconstitutional. This case is before Judge Benitez in the Southern District of California, and we call him Saint Benitez because he has given us favorable rulings before, like in Duncan v. Becerra, which deals with California's ban on so-called large capacity magazines. He also gave a favorable ruling in Reina v. Becerra, which deals with the various restrictions on the sale and purchase of ammunition here in the state of California. So Miller v. Becerra was heard by Judge Benitez. The trial concluded February 5th of this year, and after that, some additional information was requested and needed to be filed. And then on February 26th of this year, after all that additional information was submitted and we thought that this was pretty much wrapped up, Judge Benitez requested additional information from the state of California, specifically on various statistics and numbers. Judge Benitez requested information on how many firearms were purchased in 2020 as well as 2021, how many rifles, how many shotguns, how many semi-automatic pistols, how many revolvers, as well as he requested information on how many new firearms purchasers were there during those periods of 2020 as well as 2021. And so the state of California has now submitted that information. So everything that needs to be submitted to Judge Benitez is now in his hands, and he has the additional information. So let's take a look at some of this information, and it's quite revealing and might be very important in what Judge Benitez writes in this decision. And I'll put links to everything I'm talking about in this video down the details section. But what's important, if you go to number 4, which is on page 1, it says the total number of firearms sold in California with background checks in 2020 was 1,165,309. And then it says, as of March 12th of 2021, the total number of firearms sold in California with background checks in 2021 was 180,058 firearms. So again, he requested information on the years of 2020 as well as the years of 2021 as of the date of submitting this information. It goes on to state that these figures account for all firearm sales conducted through FFLs in the state, including private party transactions, consignments, and pawn sales. So this is the total number of firearms that were sold to individuals in the years of 2020 all the way up to 2021. It is about 1.3 million firearms. It goes on to say that the total number of rifles sold with background checks in California in 2020 was about 317,000. It also says that in 2021, the total number of rifles sold with background checks in California was over 51,000. The total number of shotguns sold in 2020 were over 161,000. The total number of shotguns sold in 2021 was over 26,000. The total number of semi-automatic pistols that were sold with background checks in 2020 were 585,000, a little bit over that. The total number of semi-automatic pistols that were sold in 2021 was over 87,000. And the total number of revolvers sold in 2020 was over 94,000. And in 2021, the total number of revolvers that was sold was a little bit over 13,000. And what I think is really important for the purposes of the Miller case and why Judge Benitez was potentially looking at this has to do with what's in number 10. Number 10 says, based on the parameters, approximately 369,511 individuals purchased a firearm in California in 2020 who had not previously submitted a DROS application to the department prior to January 1st of 2020. So those are new firearms purchasers in the state of California in the year of 2020. about 369,511 individuals submitted a DROS for the first time to the state of California. In 2021, as of March 12th, approximately 42,548 individuals purchased a firearm in California who had not previously submitted a DROS application. So as of 2021, in the year 2021, the first time purchasers are 42,548. So like I said in my prior video, when Judge Benitez requested this information, I think this all goes to common use, and also it goes to shed light on all those individuals during periods like COVID in 2020, riots, all that stuff that happened in 2020 and 2021. How many individuals went out to exercise their Second Amendment rights and purchase firearms, especially first-time buyers, we can see was quite heavy in these statistics. And in my opinion, I would not be surprised at all if you saw these types of statistics about the first-time purchasers in 2020 and 2021 pop up in his ruling. I also want to give you guys a quick update on Duncan v. Becerra. A lot of you guys have been asking for that. Wasn't a whole lot of movement, but we did have some additional things that popped up today. The state of California requested supplemental briefing to the Ninth Circuit en banc. They want a supplemental briefing on some of the issues that popped up in the 3-judge panel hearing. It went uncontested by the opposing side as well. So both sides are saying, hey, we agree, we want to do supplemental briefing on some of the issues that popped up in the 3-judge panel's Ninth Circuit oral arguments and all that. And if you're not aware, the en banc oral arguments set for Duncan v. Becerra is June 22nd of 2021. It was going to be earlier, but then the court pushed it back. And as far as the timeline for submitting supplemental briefings, in this case, the state is requesting it be due by May 14th of 2021. So if the Ninth Circuit grants supplemental briefings, then you will actually see those need to be due by that date of March 14th. And it will actually give us greater insight into maybe some of the things that the state of California is going to want to argue before the en banc panel, as well as additional information on some things that may be argued before the en banc panel in favor of our 2A rights here in the state of California. Beyond just the movement that's happened in the state of California, there's things that have happened federally as well. If you're not aware of HR 8, HR 1446, which passed the House, in which will likely be going to a vote in the Senate, as well as the new assault weapons ban that Dianne Feinstein has tried to institute multiple times and now has presented it once again to the House. And also I did a video talking about what impacts that might have specifically on people in the state of California and how it could drastically change some of our laws in regards to featureless rifle builds, which is also kind of relevant here for the Miller case as well. If something were to happen federally, it could affect a lot of these cases. So if you're interested in learning about HR 8, HR 1446, as well as the Dianne Feinstein bill and how it would potentially affect us here in the state of California, you can watch these videos right here and it'll take you to those where I break all that down. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars. This nation will be maintained by armed scholars.